So over the weekend, there's a woman named Jessica Bennett. Jessica Bennett is the gender editor of the New York Times. Yes, that's a real thing. There's a gender editor, which is weird. I don't know how you would edit a gender. But in any case, she wrote a piece titled, "When Saying Yes is Easier Than Saying No." She argued that in many cases, women say yes to sex, but they don't actually want to say yes to sex. Right? She says, quote, "Sometimes yes means no, simply because it is easier to go through with it than explain our way out of the situation. Sometimes no means yes, because you actually do want to do it, but you know you're supposed to, you're not supposed to, lest you be labeled a slut. And if you're a man, that no often means just try hard, because you know persuasion is part of the game." Bennett continued, and she argued that consent is actually societally defined, that our idea of what we want, of our own desire, is linked to what we think we're supposed to want. This is what Bennett writes. But Bennett offers no clear solution on this, right? So now she's saying that sometimes yes doesn't actually mean yes, sometimes yes means no, and sometimes no means yes, meaning a woman doesn't want to have sex, or she does want to have sex, but she wants to be persuaded into it. She's playing hard to get. Okay, this has happened, I'm sure, to thousands of people over the years, millions of people, where a woman says no, and then a guy says, please, and the girl says, okay, sounds great, right? Like this, the idea that no means no permanently, obviously, is not true. The idea that no means no from minute to minute is not always true. You have to take no as a no, guys. But this is when you don't have any societal standards, when sex has been completely de-linked from meaning. It's difficult to redraw these lines. And this is one of the problems, is that in the Me Too moment, we're trying to draw lines in an area where all lines have been obliterated. Right? Bennett doesn't offer any clear solutions. If it's true that women say yes but mean no, are men supposed to read minds? If a woman says no but a man seduces her until she says yes, is the initial no more important than the final yes? Now, Bennett doesn't offer any guidance here, but she's not the only one saying this. There's a woman named Rebecca Reed for the Metro who said she once participated in a threesome because she didn't want to be rude. She was over at dinner with a guy and his wife, and they said, come upstairs. And she was like, well, you know, I had dinner. I guess I don't want to ruin the dinner. Like, really? How are they supposed to know that you're not into it? I mean, like, I've been at a lot of weird dinner parties, but I would never just say yes to having sex with people out of a desire not to be rude. Why? Well, Reed says such experiences aren't uncommon. Quote, "There are hundreds of reasons why, but they all boil down to the same thing. We're nice girls. We've been raised to be nice." It's so funny how this definition has changed, right? 50 years ago, if you said a girl was a nice girl, that meant she didn't put out, right? I mean, this is what it meant. If you go back to 1955 and you said that a girl was a nice girl, what this meant, this was a euphemism for she wants to remain a virgin until she is married. Now a nice girl means that you're supposed to say yes to any sexual proposition because otherwise you're being mean. She says, quote, "Sometimes being careful means having sex you don't want. That leaves you feeling dirty and sad and a bit icky. It's not rape, it's not abuse, but it's not nice either." But now we're going to conflate rape, abuse, and not niceness, apparently. In the pages of The New Yorker, there's this short story that went viral. Okay, it's called Cat Person. The author of this piece it has now gotten apparently $1 million advance because the piece went so viral. What exactly is the piece? Well, it's about a woman named Margot who seduces a man. She sends him all the signals that she wants to have sex with him, but she's internally divided over whether to go through with it. Quote, "She knew that her last chance of enjoying this encounter had disappeared, but that she would carry through with it until it was over. In the end, she has sex with the guy, right? She goes ahead with it, even though she's sort of repulsed by it. And it's not really rape because she says yes the whole way, but then she doesn't like it. And then she breaks up with the guy, like she never contacts him again. And he's texting with her, and then he says that she's a whore. And the whole idea of the short story is she's not really a whore because she didn't really want to go through with it, but she went through with it to be nice, and now he's being mean because he's calling her a whore. And there is this sort of vagary in sexual relationships. And this is painful stuff, I'm sure, for a lot of women, but it does raise a pretty serious question. What about the guys? What are men supposed to do? Because it's men who are on the line here, right? If these women have a bad sexual experience, that is quite terrible. It's quite awful. I feel terrible for them. But if the suggestion is that you had a bad sexual experience and now you get to ruin a guy's career over it or ruin his life over it, there I'm not so cool, right? We are in the midst of a crusade not to make women feel better about sex, but to punish male aggressors, right? There is a distinction. This is not about making women feel better about sex. The Me Too movement was not supposed to be about just all sexual experiences for women are supposed to be glorious and wonderful, because not all sexual experiences are going to be glorious and wonderful. I'm married for 10 years. Not all sexual experiences, even within marriage, are the same, right? Sometimes better than others. The idea that as a society, we are now targeting bad men, we have to differentiate between the two goals. One is assure that sex for women is better. The other is assure that men are not aggressors. The second one seems to me easier than the first, but we're conflating the two. If we water consent down to nothingness, if yes sometimes means no, and no sometimes means yes, and men are supposed to read minds, and if they don't read minds properly, we ruin their careers, then how can we ever expect there to be any sort of comfortable sex at all? Because men are not going to engage if they're bright, right? And women are then going to claim that men are denying them, I suppose. What we have here is a problem of expectations, okay? All three of these articles that talk about yes not meaning yes and no not meaning no all the time,